Okay. So when I actually walked into the room, I was kind of relieved, and the reason was when I saw the speakers kind of walking and giving the talk, I was happy that I'll not have to stand there and ask you the question that can you guys see me? So, I'm Kapila, head of data science at Secours Mercy Health, and one of the key responsibilities which I have in my current role at Secours is ensuring data science value realization. So what that essentially means is that whatever data science use cases I or my team do, we want to ensure that they end up in hands of business users, in the hands of right users, and they are able to get the value out of those endeavor. And we don't, it basically it should not end up being like an academic endeavor or garage analytics. So that's what I do, that's what my roles and responsibilities include. Now, before I get further, let me just actually go to this slide. Now, I'll let you absorb this for a minute and then I'll comment. Now that you've seen it, first of all, my boss does not think like that. He's a very intelligent man, he does not think like that. My customers also, they are mostly doctors and physicians, they also do not think like that. But then at the same time, I did not want to disturb the sanctity of the image by Brian, so I have left it as is. The key thing to take away here is what you see on the bottom right, that's how I think data science is. So which essentially means it's a combination of infrastructure, software, statistics, data resources, data sources, applications, and so many different teams coming together. So data science is not statistics, not just machine learning, not a magical box. It is essentially a combination of all these things. So now that we have set this background right, now let me introduce what data science charter is. So data science charter, right, it is essentially a document which teams prepare collaboratively. Now, in my experience, what I have seen is that just by having a right data science charter in place, or just by doing this exercise of putting together a data science charter, we can reduce the probability of us doing garage analytics by approximately 75 to 80%. So you'll realize that if you do this exercise of putting data science charter in place, it will take time. It typically takes 2 to 3 months to get a data science charter in place. Many a times you'll realize that as you do this exercise, in the process, everybody understands that maybe this is not a right data science problem. Or maybe that the business is not yet ready on how to use it. Or the systems are not ready. So what this ensures is that even if the data science team develops the model, it does not happen that it is shelved later on, it doesn't see the light of the day. So this document is prepared collaboratively by business teams, by the data science team, by application teams, by IT teams. They all come together, put in their own respective sections, and I'll talk about how the data science charter looks in a bit. And then at the same time, this document shows a pathway to continuous data science value realization. See, it rarely happens that a data science model will be 100% accurate or will be very good in the first run. You have to essentially train that model with more data coming in, with experience from the field. And hence that continuous data science value realization, or the pathway to continuous data science value realization, is important. So the first time you put the data science model in production, it will be decent enough so that business can at least augment their own decision making through the use of this model. Now, in that charter, we have to lay down that path, that how do you move from this stage where your model is augmenting your decision making to a point where model can really enhance your decision making. And how does the model give you that return on investment you set out for? So, long story short, it is a simple Word document. It will look very simple. But the funny thing is, when you start populating it, when you start asking questions to people regarding populating it, you'll realize it is actually a complex endeavor. And it will reduce the probability of doing garage analytics by approximately 75 to 80%. So right now, I'm working on 4 data science charters myself. out of those, we are at a stage where we can confidently say 3 of them are not moving forward. So, having said that, let's just see what are the different components of the data science charter. Now, as I said, it is a Word document. It has these 8 different components. All these components are being populated by different stakeholders. So let's just have a look at them. So the first is background and motivation. This section has to be populated by your business customer. You have to ask them to populate it. You want to know from them as to what is the problem they are expecting data science to solve, how big that problem is, why that is a problem, and if we have a data science model in place, what are they expecting the value out of it? So they might just say that, hey, we participate in a lot of value-based care programs, we get reimbursements out of it, we are losing approximately $2 million worth of reimbursements because our readmission rate is high, which is a perfectly acceptable background. And then they say that, hey, we want data science to be able to help us to reduce that readmissions by X%. So this is, you've heard from them on what is the background. So that's the first one. The second one is case for data science. Now this one is for the data science teams to populate. They need to be, so not every problem is a data science problem. So many a times the data scientists have to do this gut check in terms of ensuring that it is a good data science problem. So here, ideally, data scientists will go to the data science journals, will research, will read medical journals, will see past case studies, will see what public literature is available in a particular problem statement, will see which are the problems from which they can apply transfer learning or similar problems they have solved in past, and kind of prepare a case that yes, data science is the right tool set to solve this problem statement. So this is the second one. Third is a very important one, which is workflow with embedded data science. Now, once you have a data science model in place, right, what do you do of that model? Just having some code which is spitting out some numbers is not going to be of much use unless there has been thought given to how will business use that model. It could be that you integrate the scores with the Tableau dashboard on population health, which your physicians are already using. It could be that you integrate your scores with Epic systems and make it part of flow sheet or make it part of IDRs or something else, so that when physicians log in or registered nurses log in, they get to see that. So this workflow is important. And this section does take a lot of time. So when you ask your business stakeholders that, hey, I'll give you the score, but can you talk to me about how will you use it, where will you use it? That's the time when you will see that the ball gets passed on to multiple people. So your stakeholders might say, hey, I probably am not the right person to use it, so maybe talk to this person, maybe talk to that person. So it takes time to get to that right stakeholder who will be the end user of the model and whose life will actually be better. So, but this exercise has to be done. Next is a success criteria. Now, funny thing is, if you ask your business, hey, tell me what you think success criteria for this model is. They'll be like, I don't know, I'm not a data scientist, how do I think about it, right? Or they might give you a statement saying, hey, I want $2 million to be recovered from reimbursement perspective. That is success criteria from their perspective. But I think it is here that both data science teams and the business stakeholders have to collaboratively work and come up with an acceptable success criteria. And it is important that that success criteria is agreed upon, because otherwise what happens is you build a model, you discuss the model with the stakeholders, but they don't know what to do of the model, or they don't know how to decide if they can use the model or not. One question which really helps when thinking about success criteria is that, hey, you're saying that 75% to 80% accuracy on historical data is helpful. Now, if I give you that model, will you be able to confidently use the predictions of that model in your day-to-day decision making? So getting answers to these questions and then aligning on the success criteria is very important. Now, assuming you're able to get to through these 4 steps, and in my experience, many of the data science endeavors actually fail at this stage, meaning we are not able to get to these 4 steps in a with a reasonable confidence level, but assuming you're able to, then comes the scope definition. So this gets populated by data science teams, where they will essentially lay down what the scope of data science model is. Now, if in step 3, which is the workflow, you decide that this has to be integrated by Tableau, or this has to be integrated with, let's say, Epic on a real-time basis, you have to involve other teams as well in the scope definition exercise, because they'll also have their own components. It could be just updating the BI report or a dashboard. It could be that you want your Epic informatics team to sit with you and talk about how using Nebula the model results will be integrated. So all those teams have to come together here. And if you have a release management team, it might just also make sense to get their feedback on this one. So that is on the scope definition. Now, implementation considerations. Implementation considerations, so there is going to be bias in the data. There is an issue of ethics which we are all dealing in healthcare AI. So implementation consideration section is where you sit with your business customers, you sit with your clinical SMEs, you sit with your hospital administrators, and you talk to them that, hey, based on the data or based on your experience, where is that you are seeing a possibility of bias? Is there a population segment you want you feel the model will not be accurate on? So all those considerations have to be talked through and documented. Now, at this stage, you might not have answers, or we might not have answers to everything, which is okay. It's the idea of the charter is to get people to start to think about all these different aspects. Now, in implementation considerations, another important factor is, see, typically when you develop these data science models, especially in use in a clinical setting, the time for model review from oncologists, from different SMEs, right? That is very important. Now we have to be mindful of their schedule as well. It sounds like a very lame thing, but it is difficult to get their time on calendars as well. So hence, the implementation considerations need to include all of that. If there is a release calendar which the organization follows, that also needs to be taken into consideration. Then is the team. Now, team is the team has to be in this section, right? Typically, we list down what are the different roles. So you will have data scientists, you will have your maybe Epic informatics experts, BI experts, business analysts, data analysts, your business stakeholders. So your user community who will use the model, the SMA community who will give you the feedback on the model. So this is the section where all the roles are listed and named resources are listed against those roles. And if like what I have seen is that while both agile and waterfall is an acceptable approach, but when we think about data science, right, agile has a slight advantage because it helps you course correct as you move. So during your sprint planning sessions, you can leave an epic for, let's say, refining the charter and for figuring out any of the blanks which you leave at this stage before actually getting the project kick-started. Now, last but not the least is the ongoing ROI vision. In this section, right, this is populated by both data scientists and the business together. And if you have business partners in your analytics organization, they are good people to populate this. The idea of this section is to lay the expectation that, hey, let's say it will take X number of months, just for sake of discussion, maybe 6 to 9 months to get a good model in production. That good model maybe will have 75 to 80% accuracy on a historical held out sample. After 6 to 9 months, we will let the model run in production for 3 months. In parallel, we'll monitor the results of the model or monitor how the predictions are showing and monitor what is happening once you take actions on those predictions. After 3 months, and in those 3 months, we'll create a plan on how to finalize or how to refine the model. Then we will in 3 months, we will refine it once more. And with that, we will also lay down a way to automatically refine or recalibrate the model to the extent possible. Now, AI or data science is not magic, right? So far, you cannot refine the models automatically, especially in healthcare setting. So hence, this expectation has to be clarified that that model will need to be recalibrated in an ongoing basis when it is in production as well, and that too will be a part manual, part automated exercise. So this ongoing ROI realization is also critical, and the vision or the roadmap to that also should be a part of the charter document. Now, this document, right, typically what we do is we populate this document at the beginning of the project. So when, let's say, when a business stakeholder comes to us saying we want to build a model on readmission prediction, we start by creating a straw man of this document. We start by populating whatever sections we can as data science team, and then we work with different stakeholders to help populate this section. We facilitate those meetings, we ask them those questions. Now, one thing to acknowledge here is that if it is just a team of geeky data scientists, you will struggle to identify a person who will own this charter. But then, if you have to operationalize a data science use case, you have to have a charter, and you have to have a person who can wear both the business hats and the data science hats at the same time. So basically, we need those liaisons between hardcore geeky data scientists and our clinical experts or the business SMEs who do not know the data science world. So this identifying this person who will own the data science charter and will chase people to complete that data science charter is equally important as getting this charter in place. And as I was saying, right, it will take, it generally for us, it is taken anywhere between 2 months to 3 months to get a charter in place. But by the end of that 3-month period, if we have a charter in place, which we are all kind of happy with, we are very sure that if that data science model can be developed, it will see the light of the day. And of course, since we are following an agile methodology, so there is a scope of refining this charter as you move along, doing all the course corrections. So it's like the process of coming up with this charter in itself is so enlightening for everyone that we are anticipating those downstream blocks which might come, and if they are so big that they will stop the data science use case from getting into production, we're actually anticipating it, and we are taking that decision up ahead that, hey, maybe this is not the right case, or maybe the organization is not ready for this use case at this time. So if you have more questions on data science charter, how does it look, just find me anytime. I can give an example of actual data science charter document as well. But that's it. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with your data science projects.